forsaken booth. The truth is you sadly mistaken. Proof I'm better than.
Welcome to 3countcommentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to be talking about Smackdown for March 25th, 2022. So some news and notes. Note 1, Butch, aka Pete Dunne, decided he was going to have an interview to explain his perspective on the Butch personae. We're gonna read this. This is from Post Wrestling. They found the transcript to an interview he did on Mark Andrews' My Love Letter to Wrestling. So I guess I should do this in my Pete Dunne voice. I'm guessing. Yeah, it's exciting, but it's also a little bit. I mean, it's just different, but I think it's time to change it up a bit. Like 5 years, fresh start. Why not try something new? And the thing is, with me, is whether it's name or whatever it is changes, that's not really what endeared me to the audience in the first place. I like to think it was the quality of the ring work that was going to keep the same, of course. It's going to get better. It's going to improve as time goes. So the sort of my perspective on it, if I can endear this crowd with the quality of my in-ring work, that's what I'm looking forward to do. I've kind of had an idea of the fact that NXT time might be coming up soon. But in terms of the call up to Smackdown and everything that came with it, that was really fast. It would have been the day before I was traveling pretty much. Started to find bits and pieces out so. But yeah, I've known for a little bit, really since the change of NXT, that I've known that, okay, I'm probably coming to the end of my spot in NXT. Really. Then especially the last month or so, things have really amped up, You start hearing things and that kind of stuff. But WrestleMania season, that adds to it. What a great time to be called up and be in the mix. So I've already been lucky enough, even though I was in NXT, still getting to do things like Survivor Series. So I'm slowly ticking them off. Obviously, Mania is a big one. It's a great time to get called up and to be in the mix. All right. So, and he's excited to work with Sheamus. So there's a lot of different things going on. Yeah. So it's cool. He's just saying, hey, it's time to change it up a bit. If you didn't understand my Pete Dunne speaking, why would anybody? So there that goes. He's not upset at all about the name change. Dolph Ziggler also did a interview promoting the Stand and Deliver show, and he talked about the process of being in WWE. And basically, just said it's up and down. Sometimes you're at the top of the world. Next time you're not even on the show. And they'll come to you and kind of give you an explanation, like they need more time for something else. And, he said like sometimes 3/4 of the roster may get sacrificed to get one story over. But it's just kind of how it is. But of course he said he never missed a check, which is the only thing he cares about. Good old Dolph. As long as he gets paid, they don't give a shit. They don't give a damn what else is happening around him. He just shows up. I win. Okay, great. I'm losing. Okay, great. As long as the check clears. So that was great. The third thing, I guess I might as well talk about it here because I don't see why not. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal will be on SmackDown next week. And the participants really, let's say they ruffled some feathers. Basically because Finn Balor and Damian Priest will both be in the Battle Royal. And will not be having a match at WrestleMania. Yes, I understand. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more with the Intercontinental Championship. A lot of people are really upset that those two titles are not featured at WrestleMania. And I have, considering, WrestleMania is now 2 nights, you would think you'd be able to get at least one of those titles on the show. And this is what I mean by there's too many celebrity matches. There's 3 celebrity matches. Pat McAfee counts as a celebrity. So it's because he's not a regular in-ring wrestler. So it's 3 celebrity matches on this show. There doesn't need to be that many celebrity matches. It really don't. You really only need the one, the Johnny Knoxville one. The Logan Paul one is not really necessary. Now, I'm not saying that it would, behoove them to change it to something else. And I'm not even saying that, there's 0 chance that either title will be at WrestleMania. I mean, it's entirely possible that, Balor and Priest maybe still makes the card, or maybe it makes the pre-show. But it's been like this for a while with the United States title and the Intercontinental Championship not being featured on pay-per-view. It's been like this for quite a while. WWE, ever since they expanded the rosters, and what I mean by expanding, I shouldn't say the rosters, I mean the championships. Now that there's 2 different world titles, the Intercontinental title has become the European belt. That's pretty much what it is. And the United States title is pretty much the same tier. You have too many championships. But at the same time, you have 2 brands. You can't have one person being champion of both brands. It just makes no sense. So you kind of have to have those extra titles. Now, the issue here is WWE doesn't put any emphasis on them. Now, what they're trying to do, and from what I'm looking at, is they're still trying to give people reasons to watch SmackDown and to watch Raw. And if the Intercontinental Championship is such an important belt, then watch it on SmackDown and watch it on Raw. Because if Finn Balor is going to wrestle Damian Priest again, he's going to wrestle him on Raw, probably the Raw after Mania, then that is going to be one of the draws and one of the highlights for Raw after WrestleMania. And then the Intercontinental Championship is going to be one of the focal points of the final SmackDown going into WrestleMania. They only promoted 2 things for SmackDown next week. The Intercontinental Championship and the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So they feel it's at least good enough to headline SmackDown. If not, it's probably not going to be the main event. It'll probably be the first match. But they haven't done a great job with the Intercontinental Championship or the United States title from what I've seen. But I've given up the idea that the Intercontinental Championship means anything, because mainly it hasn't meant anything. If you go back and watch the Attitude Era, the title was on the shows, but nobody really cared. I mean, I think of the 3 Attitude Era WrestleManias, what will be 13, 14, 15, and maybe 16. I guess 4. 17 was right after WCW closed, so I guess it's technically still an Attitude Era WrestleMania. So maybe 14 through 17. The Intercontinental Championship was in every show, but how many of those can you really think of off the top of your head, where the Intercontinental Championship really was important going into that show? It might have been on the card, but it wasn't important. It was one of the first 5 or 6 matches. It wasn't a main event held by anybody who was going to do anything in the future. I don't even think anybody who became a world champion actually walked into one of these WrestleManias. I think The Rock maybe at 13. Might have been the only one who walked into the WrestleMania as an Intercontinental Champion and had any pretense towards being a main event guy in the future. And this is 4 WrestleManias in a row. This is before they deactivated the belt in 2002 rather. Remember that there was a time they deactivated the belt. So the title just has these crazy ups and downs. And it often gets left off of pay-per-view cards. And it's usually the focus of TV matches. And I guess that's just a place for it. They feel like it's a TV thing. And if they just said that would be fine. If they would say the Intercontinental Championship is more for television, not necessarily for pay-per-view, then I would be like, okay, that sucks because of the history of the Intercontinental Championship being involved, especially at WrestleMania with such high stakes and such big stars that was involved with. I mean, it main evented one of the WrestleManias, for Christ's sake, WrestleMania 6. But we're at the point where they just do stuff like this, And there have been WrestleManias where the Intercontinental Championship match have ended in disqualification. I think it was WrestleMania 11 where Razor and Jeff Jarrett, that match ended in disqualification. Nobody cared about that damn match. And it's happened before. And you've had Intercontinental Championship matches that features guys who are barely over, guys who are barely on the roster. Then you might have a guy, I think I watched one of these WrestleManias and Road Dogg was the Intercontinental Champion. I'm like, come on. The belt is up and down when it comes to value. But what they did tonight with the Intercontinental Championship was actually more embarrassing than it not being on the show. I would much rather the champion be a winner and not on the show, just because they have no storyline going into the show than what they did tonight. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm not too upset about the Intercontinental Championship not being on WrestleMania. I mean, it is what it is. We're going to talk about Triple H retirement in another video, because I kind of want to focus on that and do something else with that. And so I guess that's kind of it for news and notes that I could think of off the top of my head Maybe something will come to me near the end. But let's look at this Smackdown. 10 minutes in. 10 minutes of news and notes. Okie dokie. So Brock, he has showed up and says that he bought Roman a new blood red SUV. I don't know if y'all noticed, but Brock has now adopted a cowboy accent and a cowboy manner of speaking, where he's basically, yes sir, Bob, I sure did go and buy him a US SUV. I sure did. And I'm kind of like, why is he talking like this all of a sudden? You know, he tipping his hat, and I'm just like, wait a minute. They're going a little far with the cowboy thing. Next, he's going to be walking around with a 6-shooter. He's going to have a ranch. You know, like, I know he already has a ranch, but he's going to have, like, a ranch tattooed on him somewhere or some shit like that. We don't need this much cowboy. Anyway, he said that he can't touch Roman unless provoked. So he's going to go hang out in Roman's locker room and get some provoking done. So he goes into Roman's locker room, talks about how nice it is, even though it's not as nice as his. He puts his hat on a lamp, which is absolutely hilarious. I don't know why I found that to be so funny. Because it was so out of place. It was like, that's not the place for a hat. To put it on a lamp that's on, by the way. So the hat getting all warmed up and shit. But then he plops down his big ass on the couch. Just eats up the whole couch. And then cracks his heel on this tiny ass table. As he kicks his feet up, the table breaks. So throughout the show, we go on back, and Brock is eating grapes in Roman's office, and he's crushing them with his man thighs. He's also spitting vintage wine all over the place, as the wine is crap. He's really in there. He's throwing lamps. He's breaking shit. And Roman, to his credit, is unfazed by all of this stuff. He has been hanging out with Uncle Paul. Him and Uncle Paul went and handled some business. Then him and Uncle Paul went to the steakhouse, where they had them a nice steak dinner. Then they went to MSG to look at all the blood of Brock Lesnar's blood they sprayed all over the place. Then he says if Brock doesn't get out of his locker room, he's going to bust Brock's head open again. And you're going to see some more matriculation of Brock's blood going on around them parts. Then Roman eventually shows up after being teased all night. Then Roman says that he's going to put Brock's head through a wall if he's still in his locker room. The camera goes back there, and Brock is gone. And Roman's like, yep, I see, he's a bitch. You know, he's scared, he's a scaredy cat. He's gone. He heard I was coming, he got out of there. Then we get another cameraman. He finds Brock, and Brock is pickaxing Roman's truck. And he's smashing the windows, and he's hitting the side of it. He's just beating the shit out of this truck with this pickaxe. And Roman downplays it. He really minimizes this whole thing by saying the tribal chief got like 4 Suburbans. This is small change. You busted up a Suburban, so what? I don't care about that. And then he says, ain't no weapons allowed at WrestleMania. That match ain't no disqualification, bruh. So then Brock throws the pickaxe into the air and decides he's going to come out there. And Roman is waiting. The Brock's music starts to play, and he gets a little shook. You know, he's focused on that ramp. Brock comes in through the crowd. He went and grabs the chair. He holds up the chair. The crowd is going nuts over this stuff for some odd reason. 100 security guys comes out of nowhere, and Roman's standing there aghast that Brock Lesnar has dared to come in his presence again, and he hasn't been doing this for like 6 months. Then Brock jumps off the table and kicks one of the dudes in the chest. Then proceeds to beat them all with chairs. And then the Usos came out there to escort Roman Reigns off the premises to make sure that he didn't get hurt by Broximus Maximus, who was running around with chairs and pickaxes and laughing. And, you know, they're padding the shit out of this storyline. They are padding the hell. This was not good. I'm not going to say it wasn't good, but it's obviously filler. I don't think it makes the video package. I think the video package is probably already put together. The video package is already done. If this thing didn't occur, you didn't miss anything. The story was not furthered through this thing. The only thing we see here is that Brock is not supposed to touch Roman unless he's provoked. So he's trying to do things to get Roman to provoke him. And Roman is smarter than that. He's cooler than that.
He's not going to provoke Brock. He's going to let Brock do his thing. Brock looks like an absolute uncaged beast man. Go ahead, do your thing. I ain't going to pick up nothing to threaten nobody. I'm just going to stay over here. You know, so you didn't really need to watch this episode of SmackDown to get the, you know, you can probably watch this in YouTube clips in order to get at least that part together. And matter of fact, you didn't need to watch this SmackDown episode at all, to be quite honest. There wasn't much that occurred on this show that even mattered. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Jimmy Uso. Jay tried to distract, but Boogs ended up taking him out, so nothing really happened. Nakamura and Boogs continue to be fun, but a big question mark, like why are they friends? Why are they buddies? I don't know. I don't understand that. The Usos keep losing. Hey, remember when Roman used to actually care when the Usos lost? Now he doesn't even care that the Usos lose anymore. Like that's a weird character thing that I don't really care for, you know? And to double back to the Roman thing, Roman says that once he beats Brock, he's going to become the undisputed Universal Champion. Undisputed Universal Champion. I'm not a fan of that idea either. Undisputed WWE Champion? Yes. Undisputed Universal Champion? No. That sucks. That's a bad name. But back to what I was saying. I remember when Roman used to actually care when the Usos lost. He used to take the Usos losing personally. And that was a lot, that applied pressure to the Usos, and it made the Usos stories matter. Because it made the Usos matches matter. Ever since Roman took the pressure off of them, and it doesn't matter whether they win or lose, they've mostly lost. You know, and they've really only won tag team matches, and sometimes. I wish we could have gotten the Roman is still embarrassed by the Usos because they lose so much. And they're doing stupid stuff and they're making mistakes. And I wish that part of the story still existed. You know, I hate that part was dropped. That part being dropped was garbage. You know, it's pure garbage. So we get a Happy Corbin vignette detailing the story of how he went from rock bottom to being a casino billionaire or whatever the hell he is. Now, then afterwards, he starts talking about how he wants a movie on his life. And then Madcap once again cracks a joke on Corbin, to which Corbin does not laugh. So we're teasing their breakup. Apparently, Madcap Moss has served his purpose. Maybe he's shown the moxie that they wanted to see, and he's ready to get pushed on his own. Because they're trying to separate this guy from Corbin. And I'm guessing after Corbin loses, it's going to be time to break them up. But did you see that Snickers commercial? Because I'm like, why are they putting all of the fourth tier comedic guys in these Snickers commercials? First it was the Alpha Academy. Now it's these guys. Is Snickers asking for these people specifically? Or is WWE just kind of like, you know what? Snickers has been a sponsor of WWE for 25 years or some shit like that. We can get away with them putting Madcap Moss into the commercial. They ain't gonna care. It ain't gonna matter to them. You know, Roman Reigns can't afford to eat the carbs. Give the carbs to Corbin. Give the carbs to Otis. Otis loves carbs. Give him all them carbs. Ain't about to give them to Roman or Sasha Banks or anything. Heaven forbid Sasha Banks gains a pound. You know, what the fuck? You know, we need her perfectly skinny. The second match, Ridge Holland versus Kofi Kingston. I was ready to throw my couch, and then it was changed to Xavier Woods, and I was like, oh. I still lifted the couch. I didn't throw it, but I was like, Ridge Holland was beaten in like a minute and a half by a small package. And I was like, good God. The important thing here is that Sheamus and Butch were matching. They were wearing the same clothes. They was like big brother and little brother, or tag team champions or something. It was adorable. Like, hey, look at me, little buddy Butch. He's like a little me. Look at him. Oi. Hey, Rich. You need to get you some suspenders. Get you a little bitty wife beater. Get some khaki pants. You be like me and Butch. You be a threesome. Xavier Woods wasn't even sweating. That's how long this match lasted. I don't think he needed a drink of water after this. Probably the easiest money he ever made in his life. Ridge Holland was sweating, though. I think it was the lights. Let's move on. Ronda Rousey, this absolute corpse. She is awful. She is actively the worst thing on this show. She stumbled over her words by saying she's going to be the women's champion of SmackDown women's champion. Then it says, oh, why should the title even have women in it? Just call me the SmackDown champion. And I was just kind of like, no. How about no? How about no? And another no on top of that. Divided by no equals no times no with no in parentheses. What is this bitch talking about? What is she talking about? Ronda Rousey. This was bad. This was so bad. This was horrendous. And I'm telling you, this is just how she is. They posted on YouTube a video of her and Shayna Baszler supposedly training for the match at WrestleMania. And I thought that's what they were going to put on SmackDown. I'm like, okay, they're probably going to play this video of Ronda and Ronda and Shayna training. They're going to put that on SmackDown, these bits and pieces of it, like a Rocky montage or something. Like they were telling the story of how, judo doesn't allow lower submission holds, so she has to learn and master the ankle lock. And Shayna Baszler is showing her how to counter the figure four, because she was trained by Billy Robinson, so she knows a little thing or two about wrestling. And she's coaching Ronda Rousey through the intricacies of how to get out of the figure eight, how to apply the ankle lock, how to do the rolls, and it was great stuff. But even in that, Ronda Rousey had the personality of an unsharpened pencil. She is awful. I don't know, did the baby absorb all of her charisma? Did she never have any? I don't know why she is so bad now. And she is so bad at everything. She's awful. This whole thing is an absolute abortion. It is an abortion. It is the worst thing on SmackDown. I can't wait. I wish this match would just happen on TV. It's so bad. I wouldn't give a fuck if they did it at a house show and then just told me who won later. I don't care. This is bad. And Charlotte is equally bad because she's doing a insert, because it's all scripted, of course. She knows exactly what Ronda is supposed to say, so she knows how to respond. Charlotte is doing something else. Maybe she's hanging out with her Mexican boyfriend and they're eating tapas or something like that. Who knows? And she's doing this thing about how she's not coming to low rent cities like Brooklyn. And I was just kind of like, okay, this is terrible. This is all bad. Charlotte's bad at this. Ronda's bad at this. They're not good. I think Charlotte stopped caring because Ronda doesn't care. And plus, Charlotte is not fully into things where she loses. She's much like Sasha Banks. If she's going to lose, she kind of has the boo-boo face, a boo-boo attitude. She's going to kind of sandbag it. And that's why they shouldn't be the main event. They should. Now, maybe Charlotte will put her wrestling boots on because it's actually the main event of WrestleMania. And it's a solo match. It's not a triple threat match where she can lean on other people. She might actually decide to work this time. But this is all looking like Charlotte's going to go in there and sandbag this shit. And it looks like it's going to be a story in 2 weeks like Charlotte wouldn't get up for whatever move and Ronda had to force her to get up, or something's going to happen. And it's going to be an absolute train wreck. This is terrible. This should be like the fourth match on the show. In fact, this should be on the fucking pre-show. This is that bad. They're putting in that amount of effort into this horrible angle. This is not good. But I've said it's not good, but I haven't said what was actually happening. So Ronda Rousey told Charlotte she started breaking her arms at 14 years old. Now, the way she phrased it, I thought Ronda Rousey was breaking her own arms. Our first broken arm at 14. I was like, did you break your own arm? And then she was like, and then I enjoyed it. I was like, you enjoy breaking your own arm? And she says, I kept breaking arms until and she said, I kept count until I lost count. And then when I beat you, you're going to be one of the lost count. And then Charlotte kind of chuckled. And I was just kind of like, God, I know Vince has got to be sitting there like, oh my, Jesus, what the fuck am I doing? I'm handcuffed by feminism to give these bras a main event. And I've chosen wrong. I've chosen Charlotte and Ronda, thinking that the name value was going to drag us forward, but now Ronda is so bad. I don't think anybody, I think Dana White is probably texting Vince like, what the fuck have you done? Like, what is Ronda doing? Why is Ronda so bad at this? She supposedly loves this. Why is she so bad at it? She's supposedly a fan. Is this how Roddy Piper would act? Would Roddy Piper come out there and do a deadpan promo? No, this sucks. How can you be a lifelong fan of something and be so bad at it? The only way you can be a lifelong fan of something and be so bad at it has to be art. Like, I can't draw for shit, but I love arts. I love comic books. I like going to a museum. I love art. I can't sculpt, draw, doodle shit. That's the only way you can be this bad, is if you just have no aptitude for it whatsoever. I got alcoholic hands or something like that. I can't draw shit. There's no way. Even I would be better at cutting promos than Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey is so fucking bad at this. She is so bad at this. And she's about to be in a WrestleMania main event 2 times over. This is awful. People have talked about how bad Sid was. People have talked about how bad other people was. It is incalculable how bad Ronda Rousey is at the job of professional wrestling. She is bad. She's been hanging out with Natalya too much. That's the only excuse. Natalya has all the boobs in the world, no personality. Ronda doesn't even have the boobs. She's awful. Awful. Truly the shits. Let's move on, please. Now, Ricochet loses twice in one night, and people are lost their minds. Ricochet loses to Angel Garza as Humberto Carrillo distracted him. It ended up being in a roll-up. Now, Ricochet, he comes out, and before we get into the intricacies of this match and everything, Ricochet came out. What did Ricochet do? First of all, Ricochet was dancing. Then he started to shadow box. Then he rolled into the ring. He did a flip. Then he started flexing. Then he held up the title. I was like, why did this guy get so much entrance? That's a lot of entrance for a guy who hasn't been on TV in a while. That's a lot of interest for a guy who lost twice in one night. That's a lot of interest. Dancing and shadow boxing and flips and fucking pick one, please, and just do that. And leave the rest of the shit at home. Alright? Let's trim it down. I understand you're trying to show some personality. I get it. Go out there and get loose. I get it. But come on. Please pick one. You okay? Pick one. Pick something. Preferably in the flip. The dancing, I really don't need that either. Shadow boxing doesn't really fit. You're too small. Now, Ricochet loses to Angel Garza. I like Angel Garza. I'm a big fan of Angel Garza. I thought Angel Garza versus Ricochet could be a really, really fun match. They didn't want to give away too much. Ricochet loses. That sucks, but Angel Garza versus Ricochet, give him some time. Okay, it'll be good. Ricochet gets on the microphone, says he's not gonna really let this slide, and gonna call out Humberto. Say he wants to give Humberto, come get this ass whooping your cousin was supposed to get. Humberto and Ricochet go a little bit longer. Ricochet busts out a high cross body. It was pretty good. Angel Garza rolled under the ring, grabbed Ricochet by the ankle, and Ricochet gets counted out. So both members of Los Lotharios beat Ricochet in the same night. One via pinfall by distraction, the other one by countout. And I absolutely watched the internet just explode. Just watched them explode. Just I was like, yeah, man. WWE's way of booking is absolutely stupid. It's not. Here's the thing. It's not even the Intercontinental Championship. It's just not. All the champions on this show except Roman Reigns lost. Jey Uso, or Jimmy Uso, is a champion. He lost. Zelina lost. Now, they're tag team champions. It's okay for the tag team champions to lose a singles match. That's not a big deal. If you're a tag team champion and you lose a tag team match, that's a problem, because you're supposed to be the best. If you're a singles champion and you lose a singles match, that sucks. Because how can I justify you being the champion if you can't fucking win the match? It's supposedly the match you're supposed to be in. For starters, I'm at the point where I'm just saying, what the fuck is the point of a non-title match in the first place? Why even have a non-title match? What is the logic? How can you justify non-title matches? They don't exist in boxing. They don't exist in MMA. Why the fuck are you still doing them? It makes no sense. Is it like the NFL where the Super Bowl champions have to play 17 games anyway? Like, oh yeah, you guys have to play 17 games anyway. So yeah, you're going to lose some. You're not going to go undefeated. Super Bowl champions, yeah, you're going to lose. Might lose the first game of the season. But no, the closest correlation is MMA or boxing. These champions don't lose that fucking often in these things. These people understand that WWE just teaches people that wins and losses do not matter. And I get it. Story matters. If you look on paper and say Ricochet lost twice, people will say to yourself, like, why the fuck is this guy a champion? That's stupid. Now, if you tell them the circumstances, like, oh yeah, he's essentially fighting two guys and they're cheating, then it's a little bit easier to swallow. You can be like, okay, well, these guys are cheating. It's two of them. It's one of him. It sucks, but, that's the point. The point of the story is to show you that Los Lotharios sucks. They're cheaters. That's the point. That's what you're supposed to get out of this. You're not supposed to get that Ricochet sucks out of it. You're supposed to get that Los Lotharios are a bunch of dirty fucking cheaters. And if they had not cheated, Ricochet would have beaten them. That's what you're supposed to get out of this story. So I still don't like that he lost. I still think that it's stupid. I still think we should ban non-title matches, championship contenders matches, and anything else in between is fucking dumb. I don't even see the point in it. You beat the champion, you should become the fucking champion. Period. Count out, not that big of a deal though. And I think people do kind of go over, that too much. The pinfall, didn't like that. If it had been a disqualification and then a count out, I'd have been like, okay, fine. He got beaten both matches, but the disqualification, the count out didn't matter. But that pinfall sticks in my craw. That said, Kiss Cam. Los Lotharios said Kiss Cam with this girl named Layla Gray. And I saw pictures of her. She's a cutie. They need to sign her up. She's cute. That's all it takes these days, man. Every chick want to be a wrestler now. Says fuck it. So they might as well be good looking. There's no reason to have ugly ones hanging around. If you're going to have women's wrestlers around here, at least they can be pretty. They can at least be cute. All right? So sign the cute ones. So Sami Zayn, he cut a promo. Sami Zayn was talking about he can do anything he wants in the anything goes match, and he's had nothing but time. And as the master strategist, nothing but time makes him very, very dangerous. And that he's come up with these ways of hurting Johnny Knoxville. And he's going to do all types of terrible stuff to Johnny Knoxville. And I'll say, okie dokie. That's fine. I would much rather, I don't know. I don't care about that. It seems like they have to touch on the storyline because it's there. But this really didn't add anything. We know that you have a lot of time, Sami Zayn. Because this storyline's been going on for a long time. Austin Theory up and smacked Pat McAfee across the head like he was a small child. Pat McAfee, then he taunted him, which was even funnier. Then Pat McAfee ran across the arena chasing Austin Theory, who then ran to Mr. McMahon and hid in his locker room or his office. And Pat McAfee was just outside the door and called him a rat bastard. I like this. This is Austin Theory being an absolute chicken shit that everybody wants to see get beat up is great television. They've been trying to find a character for this guy, this Austin Theory, trying to find a pocket for him. And chicken shit heel seems to be the right pocket. He stopped doing promos with Vince, but they took time to establish it. So we know that there's something there. And I'm guessing maybe eventually Vince is going to maybe tweak the rules into Austin Theory's favor. Or maybe Vince is going to come out there to make some kind of judgment during the match. Or he's going to make some kind of addition. Maybe make it a handicap match or something like that. It's going to be something. He's got to do something in order to level the playing field here. But I like this. This is very simple. It's a simple story of Pat McAfee is minding his own business and Austin Theory keeps fucking with him. He's trying to embarrass him. He's smacking him across the head, talking shit about him, keeping it real simple. I don't mind this. Sasha Banks, Zelina, Rhea Ripley, and Shayna Baszler had a fatal 4-way match for no reason. Liv Morgan was out there completely, again, going into the whole queer baiting thing between her and Shayna. I mean, did you see Liv Morgan out there this week? Did you see that? You might as well start calling Rhea Ripley daddy. That's the kind of shit they giving off out there. It turned into a big schmoz because there's no disqualification. That means everybody was out there and everybody starts to fight. They go to commercial, they come back, everybody gone. It's back to Fatal 4-Way. Sasha Banks defeats Zelina Vega with the bank statement. She taps out. Zelina Vega is a champion. She lost, but this is a Fatal 4-Way match, and she's a tag team champion, so this doesn't matter. The match was fine. I would have liked for, obviously, to see more, but they did a pretty good job of getting things done. They're going to be doing an 8-woman tag on Raw. I assert that just because you're feuding with somebody doesn't mean you have to have 100 matches with them. I mean, we're supposed to. That's part of what makes things special is that it doesn't happen that often. Like, imagine if Undertaker and Kane had worked tag matches against each other or something on the road to WrestleMania 14. Then the match wouldn't matter because you've been wrestling all this time. You've been wrestling for fucking 6 months already. Oh, it's been tag matches and 6-man tags. It's like, no. Sometimes it's better if you don't touch. Sometimes it's better if you don't have a match before then. And sometimes having too many goddamn matches takes away from it. These 8 people have had too many matches already. Zelina Vega and Carmella have just lost every fucking match for the last 2 months, it seems like. Unless the titles were on the line, they were losing. And it's the women's tag team titles. Who cares? Sasha Banks won. That was the right decision. Some weird Undertaker stuff. Not only is he going into the Hall of Fame, but now he's apparently wearing suits. He's going to the Presidential Medal of Honor Museum, and he was there with his hair slicked back. He looked like a mob boss. He's wearing a suit. He's also going to be driving a NASCAR pace car. I don't even know what that is. So I'm guessing he's just going to drive in front of all the other cars. That ought to be great. So he's gotten out there amongst his people, and now they got him in suits. Undertaker's just out here. You know, they're parading him around like a prize pony these days. Ever since he retired, they were like, Undertaker, go do this. So he's doing a bunch of interviews. He's doing hella interviews and out of character stuff, and it's been real fun, you know. But you know, I don't know if it's really necessary at this point. But hey, everybody seems to be very excited about Undertaker being involved with things, and you know, having him enjoy being famous without the character, without the gimmick. But the crazy thing is, people care so much about the character and the gimmick that he kind of looks like a regular guy without it. and what do you do with regular guy? It seems like he has to show up as Undertaker everywhere. You know, it's like that has to suck. You know, it's like being a football player and you wear a helmet your whole career. And then all of a sudden your football career is over and you standing on your porch like, hey, don't you know who I am? They're like, You're like, I used to play for the San Francisco 49ers. Look at me. And people are just kind of like, And you putting your helmet on, like, look, this is how I looked in my helmet. And people be like, You know, but Undertaker's, of course, a little bit different in that. You know, as soon as he puts the hat on and everything, you know, it's all a game. But him just coming out there looking like a regular civilian, it's got to be the weirdest thing in the world. He's just a regular guy. He's a big dude. He's just a regular guy without it, though. You know, so that's got to be weird. Oh, I forgot, and I probably shouldn't forget, and this was terrible of me to forget. I apologize. But Shad Gaspard will be getting the Warrior Award for sacrificing himself to save his son. True man's man, far more deserving of the award than most people who have won the Warrior Award. I'm pretty sure last year they had already decided what they were going to do with it, and they just couldn't back out of it. I think they should have gave away 2 because they should have given him the Warrior Award last year. But he's going to get it this year. So deserving. He should get a standing ovation. Hopefully his son will be there. And maybe that's why they didn't give it to him last year, because it's, you know, it was a truncated main event, truncated Hall of Fame. And they were even editing the speeches and telling people they only had like 2 minutes or something like that. So this year, hopefully his son and his wife will get to be there to accept the award on his behalf. And it is a true tragedy that what happened to Shad Gaspard. but I can't say that anybody within the sound of my voice would have done anything different. You know, that's what, and it's got to be like, sometimes I sit back and I think about that, like to kind of know that it's too late for you, or that, you know, you can't both be saved, and making a decision to go. He's a fucking hero, man. That's a tough story. That's a tough story. He's a real dude. Shad Gaspard getting the Warrior Award, more than deserved. Way more than deserved. I've seen people try to be dickheads, say you should rename it the Shad Gaspard Award. That would be nice, but it was the Warrior's idea, and he was the one who, you know, came up with the original concept. So I think it's just the right thing to do. So now the next question, I guess, is, do you eventually put Crime Time in the Hall of Fame? I'll leave that as an open question. I'm not going to even debate the subject. But let me know what you guys think. Do all the YouTube things in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe, man. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.